Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 2 of the All-Rounder Debate Show. My name is Tate, and we have a great selection of what we're going to debate today, including the Deadpool trailer. Did we love it? Did we hate it? And what book should be turned into a movie? But before we get into that, we'll start off. Now, last week, he was very good last week debating against me. Once again, it's Jack Bell, everybody.
Jake.
And he was the adjudicator. He was the adjudicator earlier, he was the adjudicator in our first episode. Luke Lenehan, he's back. He's ready to have a go. All right. So here's a reminder: we're not basing them on the picks. We're basing them on the arguments. All right. And I will call for rebuttal, and I also will call for time. So.
Right. Okay.
All right. So, in the immortal words of Ken Watanabe, let them fight. All right, our first topic today is the Klingon Empire versus the Galactic Empire. And Jack, we'll start with you.
Okay, for those who don't know what the Klingon Empire is, it's basically a fictitious state ruled by Klingons, and it features in all media of Star Trek. So all different versions of Star Trek will have one version of the Klingon Empire or another. Basically, it's a totalitarian regime, has slave labour, has ideologies close to Soviet Union and Nazi Germany. This was done deliberately in the original 1960s series, but they didn't want it closely to feature the Soviet Union because back then the US had the Cold War against them. Originally, they were going for aliens that had bronze skin and Asian-like faces, but in the first ever Star Trek film, they made them more alien with larger foreheads, heavy ridges, and giving them darker skin and a more greater delving into Klingon society. The Klingons have their own language known as Klingonese, and as of now, Klingon has the Guinness World Record for the largest group of speakers of a fictitious language. 26,000 people around the world speak it, and they've even translated pieces of Shakespeare and the Bible into Klingon. That's how popular the Klingons are.
Right, so Luke, obviously you're going to go with the Galactic Empire.
Yes,
I am. Star Wars. Now, can I just kind of say how excited we are for Star Wars Episode 7?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. We are. It's going to be legendary. Like
much excitement.
Yes, much excitement is about it. Right, so go on.
All right,
Galactic Empire.
The Galactic Empire is the, as you would call them, bad guys of the Star Wars franchise, ruled by the evil Emperor, who I'm still not sure what his actual name is. I think he's just Emperor.
It was Palpatine.
His name was Palpatine, but we should have probably looked at that.
He was Chancellor Palpatine.
He was Chancellor Palpatine. He was Senator Palpatine, then Chancellor Palpatine,
and then Emperor Palpatine.
Yes.
Of the Galactic Empire.
He's very fond of Palpatine.
Yes, Palpatine. I wonder what's the connection there. But anyway, so he rules the Galactic Empire, as just said, and cooperates quite often with bounty hunters and, well, people who rule over the bounty hunters, such as Jabba the Hutt and Boba Fett. And in the earlier movies, which sucked, Jango Fett.
And the episode, that was probably one of my favourite parts of the original franchise, where they had Jango Fett and Boba Fett. They kind of noobed Boba Fett, but it was good little tidbit for the original fans.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll get into rebuttal. Jack, what do you want to pick out? What's stronger?
Out of what?
Out of the Klingons versus... This battle is basically Star Wars versus Star Trek, which is like the biggest nerd thing to do.
Well, can I just point one thing out? One thing that kind of gets me about the Galactic Empire is the Death Star, of course. I mean,
Luke is just like, oh.
We're all fascinated by it, and I know it can destroy a planet. Unfortunately, you didn't mention it. But the thing with the Death Star, it was immediately destroyed by few little pilots in small X-Wing fighters. That would have been one of the most humiliating things about the Galactic Empire, and is one of the most famous moments in the original Star Wars trilogy. And do you know what happened once they destroyed the first Death Star? They did not even think of redoing, trying to improvise. They, in fact...
They built another Death Star.
And do you know what happened? It was destroyed before it was even finished from being built. So they did not learn from the mistake from the first Death Star. And that kind of sets a low tone for the Galactic Empire compared to Klingons. Sorry about that.
Alright, Luke, go.
Alright, well, the main drawback that the Klingons have is they have no witty comebacks because they speak in a different language. If they make a witty comeback,
Star
you can
Trek
barely
Next
understand
Generation, war.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah, but
Goodness
you know,
gracious, bro.
that's about the
Know
only
your
exception to
know
the rule.
your law, bro.
That's about the only exception to the rule, though. You know,
Can I just say, what's an example of a witty comeback from the Empire, or a person from the Empire?
Revenge is a dish best served cold.
Exactly.
Did they? When was that?
That was the original series. Yeah. But one thing
I'm just trying to think
Look,
You could go. I'm trying to think about that.
but one thing about the Klingon Empire is, even if the Federation tried to attack them, they can't. Do you know why? The Prime Directive. It basically prevents them from interfering.
No, that's not
with
the Prime
anyone.
Directive.
What?
The
No,
Prime
that's not the
Directive.
Prime Directive.
The Prime Directive is that you can't interfere with another race of aliens that haven't advanced to scientific. You're thinking in the neutral zone. We've got the neutral zone because between the Federation planets and Earth, there's the neutral zone where they're not allowed to fight.
Right.
So just say the neutral zone.
Yeah,
I'll
so
let that slide.
basically, neutral zone, that's what prevents the Federation from attacking the Klingons, and that can be a big advantage for the Klingons, but in
It can also be a great disadvantage, though, because they can't attack in that area.
Good point. But in Star Wars, it's free for all. So there's no neutral zone, every part of the galaxy is a war zone, so that's it.
Right, so that's your closing statement?
Yeah.
Alright, Luke.
Yes,
your
but
closing
having
statement.
every part of the universe as your war field can also be a great advantage because you can lure people to those planets and destroy them because they don't know the terrain. Right? You see where I'm coming from? You know, they can lure them into traps quite easily because they can fight everywhere.
So basically luring an enemy fleet to a heavily fortified place of your empire.
Exactly, basically, yeah.
Okay.
And
I can't get that.
the Galactic Empire also has Darth Vader. And Darth Vader is Darth Vader. I can't say much else about him.
Yeah,
He is
but
awesome.
wasn't he killed in the last of the original Star Wars trilogy? He was like the only Sith apart from the Emperor. How many other Sith were there?
There was Count Dooku, Darth Maul.
But
that was in the original
But
series.
they
That
were
was in
dead
the
before the.
Alright, so
the
Luke, you might
trilogy
just
started.
say something quick because we're
So,
entering our night. We're entering our 8th minute, so. you
Oh,
might
okay.
just be
So, yeah. In closing, the Galactic Empire kicks ass. Thank you.
Okay, time. Right, I pick out several problems. First of all, you didn't mention anything from after episode 6, which is because that's when the Galactic Grand Emperor Thrawn, Grand Admiral Thrawn, he was a really big part of the start, and then they had the Sunraiser, which was part of which is part of a book series that I like. I have to remember what it's called. I don't have it off the top of my head. Knowing that didn't really have much knowledge of the Star Trek universe, I will give you an extra point for that because that was really good. But based on the arguments, man, this is tough. Because I was a bit on both. I'm a bit on both because I'm a Tricker and I am a Star Wars fan. But based on the arguments, Jack wins the point.
Well done.
Well, good debate. Now, our second debate is concerning the Deadpool trailer. Now, we are all looking forward to Deadpool. I'm assuming we're assuming because we're in Australia and we have different ratings, because Deadpool will be considered getting an R rating in the United States, we might be seeing an MA15 and/or R rating. Now we'll be all 15 by the time. So Deadpool trailer, love it or hate it? What was your initial reaction?
Loved it. Awesomeness.
I kind of hated it.
Oh.
A little bit.
All right, so Luke, you started off second, so you can start off now.
Righto. So Deadpool is one of the most awesome characters in the Marvel universe. I'm going to say, just putting it out there, he is awesome. He has a lot of character behind his villainous outlook. Anti-hero outlook, yeah. He's quite a comic, actually, quite a comedian. So, like in the first part of the trailer, when he's going to be turned into Deadpool, he says, "Just don't make the suit green or animated."
And that was probably one of my favourite lines.
Yes, that is awesome. That's really.
All right,
fun.
so Jack, why didn't you like it?
Well, honestly, I didn't like it because they put Ryan Reynolds as the star, and we all know what happened when he did the Green Lantern movie. Like, according to Rotten Tomatoes, that film only got a 32 or 33% score. Now, people say that whenever they're thinking of doing Green Lantern, they're not going to choose Ryan Reynolds or his character. But when he does Deadpool, I sometimes lead away from thinking that it's good because I don't believe that he's taking it seriously, like the character within the film. Like, he's making joke of it when he should be a proper superhero. I'm sorry if you don't agree with me, but that's what I think. I believe he's not too serious.
Luke, what do you got to say to that?
Well, Deadpool is awesome because he breaks the fourth wall. Not many people actually do that in movies.
Not many. It's not the fourth wall. It's not a thing that they do a lot in movie. And
that doesn't happen very often at all.
But there was a television series with William Shatner, and he'd break the fourth wall every other episode.
Well, and damn, what was I going to say?
You were saying something about the fourth wall.
Yes. Breaking the fourth wall brings that extra element of getting to know the character slightly better into the movie. Ryan Reynolds, he needs a chance to redeem himself after the Green Lantern movie, you know? You get where I'm coming from? Because he kind of ruined the Green Lantern movie, otherwise it was fairly okay. But, he has to have a chance to redeem himself in some way. And Deadpool, being the awesomeness that he is probably that way for Ryan Reynolds to bring himself back onto the scene.
Alright, so Jack.
Well, with the things that he says, like Ryan Reynolds' character as Deadpool, it kind of sounds like some sort of cartoon superhero you'd find on, I don't know, Nickelodeon or something like that. The stuff that he says when he breaks the fourth wall or tries to make a joke.
I'll just tell you, we'll do a closing. This is your closing statement. Because, we're trying to be good for time.
I honestly don't believe that Ryan Reynolds is a good actor for these sort of things. I mean, he ruined the Green Lantern movie, and everyone thought that his new movie, Selfless, kind of sucked.
Alright, so
yes,
Luke, closing statement.
Yes, so one question here. When did this topic change from love or hate the Deadpool trailer to love or hate Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool? I mean, really.
I don't believe
kind of
that
what the
he's
whole
a good
second
choice
statements were about.
As Deadpool. I don't think that is a good choice, honestly.
Well, I reckon he is, though. I mean, yeah, sure, the Green Lantern movie sucked, and Selfless, I haven't really seen it, but it kind of sucked, apparently. But, he has done a really good job of Deadpool, I think. And the Deadpool movie is filled with action, adventure, comedy. It's just an all-round great movie.
Alright,
right?
I'll ask you a question. Do you hate Ben Affleck being played as Batman?
After Argo, no, I'm actually. When I saw, I was a bit skeptical about Ben Affleck being played as Batman. But then I saw Argo, and then Argo and Gone Girl. And that's like really surprising. Like maybe he can pull this off.
Yeah.
All right, so Luke,
That was my thoughts.
are you finished
I'm done
now?
now.
You finished now.
Yeah.
All right, time. So, man, this is another tough one. What I didn't like about what your one that you say that Ryan Reynolds has played Deadpool before. He played it in X-Men Origins and
Did he?
yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen that movie.
You're one of those lucky people who haven't seen a lot of bad movies.
Yeah.
You're one of those lucky people.
I'm
Right. So that was my main problem. Was one of the things I had with yours is like you said, this isn't a debate between Ryan Reynolds is going to be Deadpool or not, but you kind of went that way at the end too.
It's slightly, but yeah.
But no, I think that that comment that just gave you the game. So Luke wins a point.
Righto. Okay.
All right, the third and final round is something like we've seen Stormbreaker recently, and we can all agree what a crap movie that was. It was absolutely horrible. So,
But the book was really good.
the book was good. I actually enjoyed reading the book.
Yeah.
So, the question I asked to you guys is, what book-based film should be rebooted, and that can exclude to what book should be made into a movie? So, look, Jack, you can start off.
Okay. I decided.
Also, can you give us like a general idea of who'll be cast in it? Maybe who's directing in it?
Like who my choice would be.
Who, yeah.
Oh.
You can't. If you don't want to do that, you.
Well,
don't.
I honestly think that Stormbreaker could get a reboot. Well, with Stormbreaker, it was originally a book, and the guy who wrote it, Anthony Horowitz, he was brilliant with what he did. He was the guy who created the teenage spy genre. And I know we've seen movies like Agent Cody Banks or Spy Kids, like some of them should need improving. I thought that Stormbreaker, it could have done better. It honestly could have.
Yeah.
If they hadn't altered a few bits of it. If they hadn't, then it could have been great. It was directed by Jeffrey Sachs, the guy who directed the first Doctor Who movie.
Ah, yes.
Yes, that guy. And when it came to thinking of other movies, like some of the people actually started writing the screenplay for Point Blank, the second book in the Alex Rider series, before Stormbreaker even came out. But since
it failed, it didn't really get up to speed.
Yeah, but I would have liked to have seen a sequel. I mean, many sequels often do better than the predecessors. I know some people might not believe me, but
you can't
that
do
can
any
happen.
worse than The Godfather 3. Oh yeah, that little part was from the Muppet Most Wanted soundtrack, and I'm a big fan of movie soundtracks. So with what you were starting, hold on. I think we've heard enough from you.
Yeah.
Not that I don't like your voice, but Luke. Luke. So what book base should be rebooted?
Well, I'm not saying that it was a bad movie franchise because it was a great movie franchise, but I reckon Lord of the Rings needs another reboot. I mean, Lord of the Rings is an awesome movie, awesome book. It's just, kind of died off over the last couple of years. It needs to come back, I reckon. Lord of the Rings being the Lord of the Rings.
Yes. So,
Yes.
what do you have to say to that, Jack?
Well, I don't think Lord of the Rings should get a reboot. I mean, it's one of the greatest trilogies ever, and followed up with the Hobbit movies, which is basically a prequel to the Lord of the Rings films, basically makes it better. And some bits of The Hobbit, like Tate likes, like for example Benedict Cumberbatch being the voice of Smaug the dragon.
And Martin Freeman being Bilbo Baggins. That was a great choice. That was a great choice casting for me. Continue.
Some actors in The Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit films have gone on to be great, and some of the moments in the films are memorised. like for example, when Sean Bean is in the Fellowship of the Ring and he says, "One does not simply," and then it becomes a whole outbreak of memes.
Yeah.
And
One does not simply come back from that argument unless I can see something
And then Sean Bean,
new, maybe.
in his usual style, dies in a various way. This being shot multiple times by orcs.
Sean
with
Bean
arrows.
dies. Sean Bean is probably
The most dead character ever.
Actually, no, because he's like the fourth.
He's the third most actor who's died the most in his entire
Who's the
film.
first?
No, third.
No, who's the first?
John Hurt.
Oh yeah. V for Vendetta.
Yeah.
All right, so Luke,
Alright.
go ahead.
Well, there's
What have you got to say against Stormbreaker? I'm really looking forward to that.
Stormbreaker was a terrible movie. It was. I'm just going to come out. And say
Are
it
you
was-
fighting for him or are you fighting against him? I'm interested.
Yeah, I'm going to say that I'm going to agree with him. It was a terrible movie, but there was quite a few good aspects to it. Like I like how they changed some of the plot things. Like changing from Herod to Darius. It kind of makes it sound more like he's a rich guy than being kind of.
Yeah, but the book describes him as a foreigner, like from the Middle East or something like that. Shouldn't he have a name relating to like that, like Herod? It kind of sounds like.
All right, guys. Last points. What's up?
Alright, Jack.
Well, Stormbreaker, it was a bad film. It could have been greater. Anthony Horowitz thought it could have been greater, but he thought that his books probably weren't good for films. But if a reboot happens, then and if it does go well, then we all might be
Luke.
looking for something.
Luke.
Yeah, well, I mean, The Lord of the Rings needs a reboot. It's dying off again. Like I will admit the original movies, great movies, but just needs to come back.
That was a long bell. Sorry, we record this where there's a lot of sound happening.
Yeah.
So
this just
all right.
needs to be-
I will call this now so we can finish it off. Luke, I would actually prefer to see a Lord of the Rings spin-off movie. A spin-off, I think because Anthony Horowitz, he did Foyle's War, which is one of my favourite shows, like Cold War, World War I, World War II shows. And I really think so. That's why Jack gets the point. Yeah, well done. All right, so that's the end of this episode. If you've got episode 2, hopefully episode 3 doesn't turn out like episode 3. If you'd like to subscribe, please subscribe. If you want to see any more videos, subscribe, drop a like, maybe even give a rating.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
All right, so we'll see you guys all next week. See ya.
Yeah. Right. See ya.